and welcome back. We are continuing our season our series actually, where we're looking at working our way towards Python certification. And this episode, we are going to focus on whiles and fors. So we're going to get into some loops. Now we're going to keep moving somewhat forward with what we had before, as far as the morning, the day, and the evening, because it's going to give us some things to work with. We're going to change our greeting over though now. Now our greeting is going to be something, because we're going to actually start walking through a few of these. And the way we're going to do this is first we're going to do a while. And whiles, much like ifs, are going to be while some expression, and then there's going to be a semicolon or a colon, and then you're going to indent and you're going to handle the while. There's no end while or anything like that. Let's do it from, so we're going to do the input. So we're going to do a little count. So let's do this. While count is less than value. Then we're going to do string count. Well, actually, let's just do. Yeah, we don't need this, right? Let's just do that. This will be easy enough. So we'll just do string count, because we actually are going to be pulling those values anyways. And we're going to do count equals count plus 1, because we're going to start at 0. And so we're going to then display based on the hour. And so let's just do that real quick. So if we do that and we do 4 o'clock. Oh, I'm sorry. It's because value is a string. So let's do int. And then we're going to see that it counts up, because while count is less than whatever the value is 4, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, at 0 is less than 4. And so it's going to say, so when it says it's actually count as 0, it's actually here you're going to do the greeting for 1 o'clock. And then when we get through to count is equal to 3, 3 is still less than 4, but it's going to count here. It's going to do 4, which is here. But now count is 4, so it's not less than, it's equal to, it's not less than the value, then it's just going to bail out. So that's the first part. One of the things we can do with a while is they do have an else. And this basically is going to say, let's just do, here we're going to just say print end of loop. And we're going to see this. Let's do this first. In our first one, so do the same example we did before, and we're going to see that it does print end of loop. So even though it goes through the while, like an if, unlike an if, in an if you have an else, the if either it gets executed, otherwise the else gets executed. In a while, the else is going to get done anyway, so it's always going to execute this part. So if I come in and I do a 0 as my number, it still does end of loop, even though 0 is not less than 0. So it's going to completely skip that. But else is sort of like a catch-all if you use an exception or something like that. This is something that's always going to execute, which can be very valuable with some of the loops that we use. There are those instances where we still need to do something even if we don't run through it. We see this when we do, in particular, in like an interface. We may have something where we want to set a value that's going to be, based on the values, based on what's built up in the loop, or something like, no values returned or something like that. So while and else is very useful there. And let's see. The thing that's important here is this is a Boolean. So if I did the same thing, let's just sort of go with this for a second. And this is going to be an infinite loop. Infinite loop. And let's just do this print. I'm just going to do a dot. If I do while true, this is always true. So I'm never going to see end of loop in this case. I'm going to have to break out of this. See, it's just entering my, just printing my little periods there. If I do while false, then it's never going to do it. So it just gets into, end of infinite loop. And infinite, it's hard to type fast, end of infinite loop. So let's go look at that again. And we'll see here, so end of infinite loop. So even though it's false, it just right away jumps to the else. So this is a Boolean that we're working on. Now we can break out. And so what we can do here is, even though this is infinite loop, the first time through, it hits a break, and you see that end of loop. Except for, notice here, I'm sorry, I'll make sure I'm clear. So here's that first loop, but the infinite loop, notice it prints this period. Break actually skips the else. So that is the one situation. If you're going through a loop and you say, wait, I do want to skip the else part, I can break out. I can also break a loop at any time and just jump to basically this next line by doing a break. So I can do a break. I can also do, let's see, let's go back to this one. We're going to reset our counts. All counts less than value. And then he's just going to print count. Count equals count plus 1. And let's do this. I'm going to do another one, print. I want to do count. And then let's do print is a big number. And so here I'm going to say if count less than, let's say, 5, then I'm going to do continue, which is another thing we can do. And so let's see how this one works. So let's enter 10 as our number. And what am I missing here? Count equals 0. I got to reset my count. My mistake. So if we come in here, notice that here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's not until I get to 5. So if it's less than 5, it doesn't get that as a big number, because what happens is I do continue. Continue just goes right back up to the while loop. So break gets me totally out. Continue gets me back up. And we're going to see this if we use other loops. For example, the for. So now I can go back to what I was originally looking at. So I can do, let's do morning array. So I can do x in morning array. And I'm just going to do print x. Oops. Oops. There we go. So if I do that one, doesn't matter what the number is see here. So this is where my morning array is it just goes through and prints each of these items. If I do, I don't want to do a breakpoint. If I do a day array, then notice I'm going to do 11 through 17, because it's just grabbing the items out of that collection. So I can do that. If I do colors, I think I've got one somewhere where I had colors. I'm going to steal those. And, there we go. Let's do colors. And if I do for X in colors, then it's going to go through each of the items and prints those out in order. Now I can also do another nice little thing I can do for X in range. And let's do 5. And then just do print X. So let's look at our range here. Let's see what that does. So if I give it a range of 5, it does 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. If I do 10, it's going to go through 0 through 9. There you go, like that. Now, another thing we can do with our range is we can come in and we can actually give it like a range that's not 0, 2. So let's say, let's go back to 5. Let's just change this to be, let's do X, just to make this a little easier, plus is in the range. We'll do it like that. And so let's go back to this one. So if we look at it for 5, just to straight up, we get those 4 numbers. But we can also do like 3, 5. So in the range from 3 to 5. And this is going to give that first number and then less than. So we see here, and it's probably easiest to see that the second number minus the first number is how far we're going to go. So we're going to have 2 items come out of this range. It starts with this, and it's going to be less than, not less than or equal to this. So if we were to do 0 to 5, we're going to see it's exactly the same as doing just a 5. But if we do 1 to 5, now we're not going to see that 0 in there. See, now we only see 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can use this all over the place to do to walk through strings or arrays or things like that. And there's some other things that we'll find later on that can be thrown into this, but generally speaking, 4s, much like whiles, very similar, is that we have 4. It's got that little expression, and it's usually going to be something to walk through, and you're going to get a value out of it. So some variable in, and then whatever that range or set is, give it the colon, and then of course it's indented. And let's go check what happens if you do an else in a 4, just to sort of run through this. End of for loop is, we're going to see much like a while. If you do an else, it's there. If I do a break, then same thing, is it prints that one, but then it does not do, goes right into that next loop. It does not actually do the else if you do a for else. And continue does the same thing. So if we wanted to do something like this, then we can do that within a for loop as well as a while loop. So there's a lot of similarities between them, but it's important to remember that a while is going to be while either true or false. So it's got to be something that evaluates to a Boolean, whereas a for is going to be something in a range. And so you have counting loops. If you want to do a counting loop, and if I want to count for what I would do maybe somewhere else, like in a C, if I want to do, for, x less than 5, x plus plus, blah, 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 which you'd normally see. So it's like in a Java or C, where you would do like int x, x less than 5, x plus plus. If you do something like that, then that's going to be simplified, I guess. It's going to be this in the world of Python. We will use these again, so this is not the only time you're going to see for and while loops, but I figure it's good to get started. We'll focus on these a little bit, and like I said, we will come back around. As always, you can see the code examples. You can see those out in the GitHub repository, see what's in there, and that'll do it for this one. So we'll come back next time around, and we're going to continue moving forward on our certification. So as always, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.